Hello, my name is Summer Janae and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started today, I want to ask you to hit that subscription button. Make sure you also hit the notification bell and also like this video. If you like this content and the focused on the contracting arena, make sure you let me know if you have specific questions or comments. Put them in the chat box. And whatever information I'm going to share with you, I will be sure to put it in the description box below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I'd like to discuss with you today is FAR Part 19, specifically talking about the small business categories. Usually when people are asking me questions, I get a lot of questions about the different socioeconomic groups. So I just want to go through, and if I forget one of them, I will be sure to put it in the chat box, but let's get started. So the first one you need to know about or be aware of is a small business. So usually small business sizes are determined by the Small Business Administration, and you can look up their NAICS code, and it will either be determined by revenue or number of employees, but you can find that on the small business chart, and I will link that in the description box just so you can have a better understanding of what I'm talking to you about. So we've talked about the small businesses, and then you start going into the different socioeconomic categories. So there's a woman-owned small business, which means it's 51% owned by a woman. And so they're eligible for certain types of set-asides. There is a veteran-owned small business. There is a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. And one of them you can self-certify, and the other, I think you have to get certified by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I can put that information in your description box. But all of the different categories I'm naming, the primary owner has to be the person that falls into that category has to be at least a 51% owner. After the small business, woman-owned, veteran-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned, there's a hub zone, which means that you are in an underutilized area, and there are certain areas that are zoned for hub zones, and I think I'll just drop the link to FAR Part 19, which will cover all of what I'm talking to you about. And then there's a 8A set aside. So there are Alaskan Native contractors. There are also, I'm not going to misspeak. So I know for sure there's Alaskan Native. I thought there was a Native American Native set aside under the 8A umbrella. But I will put the different FAR parts in the description box because I don't want to give you any wrong information. I do know that under the 8A program, contractors can be in the program for a set amount of time. Usually there's also a mentor protege program where contractors can partner with smaller companies, can partner with larger companies. But if they're going after a set aside, if there's a teaming agreement formed, then there needs to be the company, the 8A company, especially if they're going after an 8A set aside, would need to partner with a if they're for a teaming agreement with a similarly situated organization. And it gets kind of wonky as you're looking at GSA contracts, because their contracts are like 5 years, issued in 5-year, and options in 5-year blocks. So if someone is at the end of their 8A contract but they receive an award before their 8A contract expires, then they can, as an 8A under GSA, continue to get awards for the duration of that contract until their status expires on that awarded contract. but that would be under like a BPA or an IDIQ. And I'll do another video on BPAs and IDIQs, but I just want to give you the basics right now on the different types of socioeconomic categories. I think those are all the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. But if I missed one, I will make sure I include it in the description box. But I want to get back and talk about specifically the 8As, which are, so you can, when you have a requirement, it can be either full and open competition, or it can be a small business set aside. So if it's a small business set aside, there has to be at least 2 or more small businesses in whatever category it is before it can be set aside, who can do the work. Let me back up. Who can do the work and have they're qualified and can do the work and are interested in the requirement and have asked for it to be set aside if you didn't know that they were out there. Let's say you were issuing something like a sources sought, and you get 2 service disabled veteran-owned small businesses saying, hey, I can do this, and then someone else comes in and says, hey, I can do this too, and you check the necessary items to confirm that they are indeed capable of providing that service for the government, or in my case for the government, then you would do you would make that requirement a service disabled veteran owned set aside. And so I know with the Department of Veteran Affairs, veteran owned businesses and service disabled veteran owned businesses are the primary or the first source for those requirements. Not necessarily for other organizations as much, but it's like mandatory that you look at those veteran-owned organizations first. In terms of the other federal organizations, there can be set-asides to women-owned small businesses, hub zones, veteran-owned small businesses, or service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. And then there can be direct awards, I know, to 8A organizations. I'm thinking under $4 million. It doesn't have to be competed. If you find someone who is an 8A and they can meet the requirement of what you're procuring, and you go through the Small Business Administration and they okay it and say, yes, you're good to go, then you can make that make a direct award to that particular 8A company. But with 8A actions, you have to always go to the Small Business Administration, because the contract is not with the organization and the 8A firm. It's always with the organization and the Small Business Administration. So every award you make, every modification you make, you need to be in lockstep with sending that information to the Small Business Administration. And if there are any changes or anything going on with those requirements, you need to make sure that you keep your 8A, your Small Business Administration point of contact informed, especially as you get ready to recompete requirements. So that's all I have for you today. I know that was a lot. Fire Part 19 is very extensive, so I'm just going to stop right there and just drop the link in the channel and then let you go and read about it. And if you have more questions, or you want me to dig deeper into one of these socioeconomic categories, or another part of the FAR, or the DFARs or the AFARs, let me know, and just drop your comments or questions in the comments box. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening and watching. Subscribe to my channel and go be great. Enjoy the rest of your day.